There's Usopp, who's trying to cover the mouth of Luffy before he even says anything. Zoro and Sanji, they're looking the other way because if word gets out that they were the ones that defeated the Iskat, it's probably not going to go well. One Piece chapter 1128, it starts off with Sanji carrying Nami, and they're even discussing amongst themselves whether or not that this is a dream or not. I know that was a big discussion in the community based off of the different errors that were portrayed and that different items that weren't drawn in the last chapter. Apparently they were all asleep. They woke up in different locations. Zoro, he ended up hearing a loud noise and he found Luffy, who was beating up the ear god, which is pretty interesting that Zoro was actually able to successfully make it to a location without getting lost. As well as Usopp, he woke up inside that cat lion's mouth, which we later find out it's an Iskat, but that's what happened. Each of the straws were in a different location and spawned next to some of the gods of the land. I think Usopp brings up an interesting statement where he talks about how it appears that they're at ELBAF, but at the same time, why would they have different clothes that fit the size of normal humans, since ELBAF is the island of giants? It just doesn't make sense that they would have human-sized clothes. There's also the different Lego-like trees. So the straw hats that are here, they're curious about what happened and they want to go on an adventure and ask different people of the town what exactly happened, where exactly they're at, etc. Where all of a sudden they run into an older looking giant who is riding on a grasshopper. I find it funny that Nami and Sanji, they're staying away from it because they don't like bugs, but apparently that this vast land, it belongs to the sun god, and apparently this old guy, he is in charge of Stein Castle. He helps maintain it, and this is the domain of the great Iskat, which is the cat that was eating Usopp and the monster trio they ended up defeating, which is really cool because they call this island the land of the gods. We see Nami, she's out here we shouldn't have done that. There's Usopp, who's trying to cover the mouth of Luffy before he even says anything. Zoro and Sanji, they're looking the other way because if word gets out that they were the ones that defeated the Iskat, it's probably not going to go well. This old man, he doesn't know Luffy. He says that don't follow this road because the rabbit guardians, they protect the sun god's temple from this point and no one has ever ventured past there. And Nami, she's like, you shouldn't have said that, because Luffy, he starts fidgeting, starts getting antsy, and he ends up taking off towards the sun god's temple. Zoro, he talks about guardians, how he's ready to fight, and Sanji, he makes a statement of how Zoro, he ends up egging Luffy on and kind of supports Luffy's rash behavior. I love that form of interaction between the two. The Straw Hats, they are headed towards this castle, and all of a sudden Luffy, he ends up running smack into a wall and ends up cracking the sky, cracking the different areas. So apparently where they were at, it was all just for show. And once again, I'm still kind of surprised that Zoro hasn't gotten lost just yet. I'm guessing that's because the area, it's not really that big, as we find out a little bit later in the chapter. But if you guys have made it this far into the video and you're enjoying the content, let me know by leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. I pump out different content all the time. But yeah, we see that this area, it appears where Luffy ran into, it has some type of door, or is a glass door, and so the giants, they end up using this room to spy, or I guess look on the outside for different individuals that made it to that point. It's kind of creepy. It's like they're people watching. I don't know, it's a little weird. But we end up running into Chopper, who's also here. Not entirely sure why Chopper was separated from the two. Maybe it has to do with the people of Alabasta, or it also could be because Chopper, he can communicate with the different gods. So the ear god, the Iskat, because Chopper, he can communicate with other animals. So maybe that's why I think Chopper being here would be very vital, very important, with his ability. But I love it. Nami, she ends up consoling Chopper, charging him a fee, which is pretty funny because Nami was just, scared and freaking out before. So, now that she's with the other guys, she can go back to taxing people. Sanji even mentions how see-through this glass is. It's kind of, think of it like a one-way mirror that people would use for interrogation, how you can see, on one end, but the people on the other side can't see it. Except for, I guess, in this scenario, the mirror, like when you run into it, it can break way easier than an interrogation room. But the fact that the Straw Hats they end up finding this room confirms a couple of things. Number one, that it's not a dream world and that they made it to Elbaf. And number two, that the giants are creepy for wanting to spy on different people and animals that are trapped in the block world. As they're having this discussion, different animals pop up, like a serpent, there's mice or rat, there's what appears to be a crow. So we can assume that these are the guardians of the temple that they were previously warned about. All of a sudden, somebody with a staff, and I don't exactly know what the mask is. I feel like I've seen this before in other anime. I'll definitely talk about it when I do my breakdown early next week. But they are walking towards the workshop, and they see everything that's going on, how there's a fire that's spread, how Luffy, is fighting against, and the other Straws are fighting against these temple guardians. So, with this being the sun god that is looking at Luffy, who is the sun god, it's pretty cool how, they got to interact this soon. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting it to happen this soon, but nevertheless it's still cool. But it's not cool for the sun god that's on Elbaf, because of course the Straw Hats are destroying their workshop. Luffy ends up punching the giant serpent, and the Iskat, it end up spinning the block, coming back to the Straw Hats, which is pretty funny because he got bopped on the head and it's like, you guys are gonna pay for it. And we know that the Iskat isn't gonna do anything, but the Straw Hats, they end up riding on this Iskat. Nami, she stole the map of the block world, and they're going to explore and figure out how to get up out of here. The sun god is chasing after a really good looking panel. Obviously they're mad because they ended up destroying the workshop and just fleeing, so they are chasing after him, saying that it's not going to be an escape. Really cool, especially because they're not a break next week. Wonder what different abilities this version of the sun god has and what they're going to do to the Straw Hats next chapter. I also wonder if, similar to when they ended up breaking the wall to get into the sun god's workshop, if that means that there are other potential walls on the island. So as the Straw Hats try to explore and go around the island, if they end up running into other walls, what that's going to mean, if it leads to other different islands within Elbaf, or if it leads back to the sea. Just curious seeing what Oda is going to do with that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how you guys feel about this chapter in the comment section below. It wasn't necessarily the craziest chapter, but at the same time we're at the start of the arc, so I'm not really expecting anything crazy as of yet. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.